Well, hello, welcome to Pieces of a Woman.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pieces of a Woman podcast. We're back and we're loving it. It's been so much fun getting back into the recording.
I feel like we've just been really disciplined with knocking out a couple of episodes a month.
Yeah.
It's made our lives easier. It's one of those things where how do you create space where you don't feel overwhelmed, you're doing too much, but you can manage the things that you're committed to.
Yeah.
And we did that with this.
Yeah, well, you have dove in and done a lot with our website. We do have a website, which is great, and we're getting our episodes uploaded there. We also have a YouTube channel. So we're kind of everywhere. And we want to say, after one of our episodes a couple times ago, we talked about things that we are over. And we got a lot of engagement, so we love that. A lot of the men out there who laughed about our heels that we talked about. We love the engagement. So thanks for just being with us on this journey in 2026. And we're coming back and just loving it. And it's been so much fun. One of my favorite episodes this year so far has been with Alicia Holdaway
By far.
6-month sabbatical. But we've had some really good ideas coming up. And so we're really excited. But today we're going to dive into, have you ever had a bad breakup with a friend? Or
Have you ever had to make a decision about a friendship that wasn't serving you?
Yeah.
And how did you navigate it? What did that look like? I was telling you that in my drive-in, I knew we were going to have this conversation, and I was looking over my life of friendships and have a big understanding about how many of our friendships can sometimes just have a season.
Yeah, for sure.
And vice versa, right? We may be a season for someone else.
Yeah.
Someone else's friendship. And I had a hard time pinpointing if I'd had like a distinctive breakup with a friend.
Ooh.
If there was anything that I maybe had to look at and go, you know what, that relationship is no longer serving me, and I need to figure out if I'm going to silently allow it to dissolve or intentionally make the break. And I couldn't really think of any. What about you?
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have some stories that we're going to talk about, but I couldn't think of one where I went in and said, I am intentionally breaking up with this friend.
I have, and that's a very specific situation because, you have your girlfriends, but then you also have married friends that you have. And so I would say probably within the most recent, which is when I say most recent, 10 to 12 to 16 years ago, when you go through a divorce, you lose those friends.
Oh, yes.
And so not all of them. I have my core group of friends, but then there was this group of friends that I loved them dearly, but when I started going through my divorce, they kind of pulled away. And I would say there were other reasons too. My son was going through some stuff at the time, but none of them ever came to me and said, what's going on or what happened? And I will own my responsibility in that because I did not share with them as a friend. Like, I didn't lean into them and say, hey, I'm going through all of this because, you kind of think you're going to work through it and you're going to be okay.
Right.
And so I didn't. But then when the shit hit the fan and all of a sudden my marriage is ending, they just completely pulled away. And as did I. So I would say it wasn't malicious or it was just a natural progression. Like, I think there's organic separation of friendships. And I realized at that moment, we weren't just meant to continue, and I wish them well. It was sad because you go through a little bit of...
You're grieving your divorce and you're grieving friendship loss.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody really tells you about the fact that when you go through a divorce, somebody's getting the friends.
Yeah.
And not always both. And I don't think we are prepared for that.
Yeah.
I remember going through that when Todd and I divorced. And I was quite young. I would say we were probably in our, 26, 27 years old when we divorced, and we had a group of friends as well. And I actually knew those friends before Todd and I married.
Yeah.
But they also were his friends. So it was kind of an interesting dynamic, but lost all of them. I mean, they all stayed on his side, and it kind of leaned that way. They gravitated that way, which I think was a good fit for him and the time. But I remember grieving that, and I don't know that we planned on talking about this, but finding your people later in life.
Yeah.
When you go through divorce and you realize you have to start over in your friendship world, and how hard it is as an adult finding new friends. But we can talk about that a little bit. I would say that's another piece that is really challenging when people are already in their groups.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting you say that because I think, and I could probably speak for most women, I don't know, there are a lot of people that don't necessarily have close girlfriend relationships. I have my entire life. I think you have too. We've talked about that before. Girlfriends and friends in general played such a big role in my life growing up as a kid, teenage, young adult. Like friendships were so much to me because, when your home life is a little different, you lean into the friendships a lot more. Right. I think it just is different. But then you have different friends, you meet different people through work and some people you click with. But I've had many people that I've had a seasonal friendship with that I have fond memories of. I think just life happened and natural separation. You know what I mean? And then I have my dear high school friends that there's three of my friends that we're still friends today who we've done they know all the shit.
And you've been with them for years.
For years.
You guys do a great job of staying connected.
I think what's so beautiful about it is we're so dramatically different, but we also can have such real raw conversations about things we completely disagree with. But we know the core of who each other is. We love each other anyway, if that makes sense. We don't have to agree. And we have really hard conversations. We all have a totally different family life pattern. And it's so beautiful. And I love it. They're not the friends I go do stuff with. They're not the friends I go travel with. They're not, I love them dearly. So I think
different levels of friendship.
Yes. And I think sometimes it's healthy. I have been in a position where, as a couple, my ex and I had a relationship and friends that became completely toxic. They were in a completely different path in life than we were. And I chose to remove myself from them. And I'm not a vengeful person. It was brutal. And to this day, I think they're doing way better. And I have no need for them in my life whatsoever. But I hope they're okay.
Right.
You do for your own sake. For me, it's really easy. It's not easy in the sense I never want to hurt anybody. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but I am sure I've been a bad friend along the way, and I apologize to anybody who I have been a bad friend because I'm sure I'm human. I'm sure I have been and made and said things and stuck my foot in my mouth, whatever. And I apologize because I could have really offended people I don't know or friends that it cost us our friendship and I just didn't know. But I just don't have time to hold anger and remorse for bad friendship. I think organically sometimes. Look at how we came together. I can't imagine us not having each other in our lives.
Well, and that's one of those situations where, Kenny and I had a group of friends that we had done everything with from, I want to say it was probably around 2011 to 2017.
Yeah.
They were our core group. We did dinners weekly. There was about 4 to 6 couples. We did dinners. We traveled. We loved how the fact we could travel and everybody got along well. There was never any contention. Everyone just traveled really well together. And I felt like I was in such a great place thinking, wow, we really have this core group of friends that we really enjoy being around. Did a lot of wine trips together, wine tasting, years of it. And I lost Taylor in 2017. And I remember reading, don't be surprised if you lose people along the way and your friendships change. And I rejected that thought so much because I thought there was no way that would happen to us. We had such a strong connection and such a strong baseline that I thought, I don't know what they're talking about. This will never happen. And interestingly enough, it did happen. And we literally lost our entire friend group. And we actually went through a major crisis on a trip, and I had to walk away. I was very early in my grief, so I suspect I may have reacted in a way that probably created a lot of that space where we just totally dissolved the friendships. But I also think there were some things that were happening on the other side where they truly could not understand what Kenny and I were going through. And not that it was their fault, but they were in a different place in their lives than we were.
Yeah.
Not only did they not have any children, which wasn't a big deal for us when we all hung out, but after you lose a child, your thoughts change around what's important to you and what's not. And we started to, realize that the difference in those friendships that we're not going to be who were today. We had a really traumatic ending, and it came from both sides. And I remember looking back how much grieving I did over not only Taylor, because I was in the midst of that,
Yeah.
but we had just lost our core friendship group.
I can't even imagine that.
And it was devastating to me.
Yeah.
And now looking back, I think it was perfectly aligned. They could not have shown up in our lives the way we needed when we were going through the biggest loss of our lives.
Yeah.
And we ended up having a circle of friends, to your point, meeting you and the group that we have today. And I met Leanne and Kim. And those friendships were able to show up and support us in a way that we could be ourselves.
Yeah.
Whether we were grieving or whether we were having fun. And it got us through some of the most difficult years that we experienced through that initial loss. And so I now look back with so much love and understanding that that was a friendship in a season.
Yeah.
And it served such a beautiful part of our lives with those friends. And today, I can't imagine those friends. That's not who we are today.
Yeah.
And so I do believe in the seasons and the alignment and why they happen and when they happen. And that was the story for that friendship group.
Yeah. I always want to instill in my daughter, friendships are so important. And we did a show our first year, How Girlfriends Save You. There's so much value in that. And I love my male friendships. Like I have so many male friends. I know there's people out there that think, oh, men and women can't be friends. And I just disagree with that. In high school, some of my best friends were men, boys, but they were so awesome because they were so no drama and just so easy to hang out with. I love both sides. But I think today, the way I look at friendships is our capacity is also a little different. And also I protect my energy a little bit more.
Right.
Like it's hard to be around people that can drain you or drama or it's just heavy. And I can't do it as much anymore.
So you limit maybe those interactions.
I do. Also, but I feel so blessed. Like to your point, the fact that you cherish and you look at it in a positive of what that once was, even though it may not be today, it was a season. And I feel that way too. Like along the way, I've had so many beautiful people in my life, far more beautiful people than toxic people. So I'm super grateful for that. But I am more particular. Matter of fact, more now, my bandwidth just isn't as big. There's so many amazing women out there and so many people that I'm saying I'm friends with, but I can't devote the time and energy, not because I wouldn't want to. I just don't have it. You go through a season of now you become more friends with your children, your adult children.
Which is amazing and incredible.
Which they take up. And so that fills your cup.
They may not want to hang out with us
That's
all the
true.
time. But they'd be like, just like to hang out.
Not all the time, that's for sure. That's for sure. But don't you feel like they also kind of came in and they place a role in my life that I love spending time with them? You do family trips and all that kind of stuff when you're with we've got the holidays where we spend the meals with them, and I just love hanging out with them too. Yes. So
there's only so much time to spread across. We're talking about, have you ever broke up with a friend? Have you been broken up with? I was looking at that, and I have been broken up with. I started to think back, has anybody ever said, I can't be her friend anymore? And what did that look like? And I have one, so I'm going to share that story.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and this was a friend that we had met each other at a very young age, and we were about 16 years old, and we came in and out of each other's lives up into our 20s, and we were roommates. We double dated for guys that ended up being friends. Our interactions and meetings were kind of serendipitous. Like we just showed up and we'd be like, oh, wow, you're here.
Uh-huh.
I met you with another person over here. So we thought we were really meant to be friends. And we stayed connected in our 20s, even though life had gotten really challenging. I got pregnant at a young age, and then I got married and she got pregnant. And so our lives kind of separated, but we still stay pretty connected. And I just remember one day she was no longer taking my calls.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't reach her through any platform. She literally blocked me from her life.
Wow.
And I never understood why. I kind of gave up after about a year of trying to understand. I didn't get an explanation. There was never any understanding of what happened. She just literally blocked me from her life. And I was kind of devastated and hurt, but thought, why? What did I do? What happened? And I created all these stories that maybe I had done. And what turned out, she showed up 15 years later at Taylor's funeral.
Oh my gosh.
Walked in. I hadn't seen her in years. And through the first few months, you know how they say you kind of really learn who your friends are when things really
Yeah,
go
for
go
sure.
south.
For
And
sure.
she came at a really raw time of my life, and we had a couple of conversations about what had happened. And what had happened was I look back at that 25-year-old woman myself who didn't know how to show up for a friend,
Oh,
who was in a very selfish stage. I was in survival mode, so I'm going to have a little grace for her. I had a young daughter at 18. I was trying to figure out what I was doing for a living. I was navigating a divorce and going into a new relationship. And I was not very compassionate or sensitive to what she was dealing with in her life. So when she was finally able to share with me when it clicked for her that she felt like she was showing up for me, but I wasn't showing up for her. And she was right.
wow.
She was absolutely right. She had lost a baby, and it was I'm going to say stillborn, and I had no idea about that loss at 27 years old. Now I know people that can be compassionate without knowing it, and I clearly was not one of them. And I would say that I've learned so much. I'm not that same person, but when she shared with me where I wasn't showing up, I had so much sadness for how I didn't show up as a friend.
Yeah.
I'm a different person today, and I would show up very differently. And she and I are very good friends today, and we talk daily. She actually works with me, but so I think I bring that story in because sometimes it's us that
Oh, for
someone's
sure.
breaking up with.
Yeah.
And and I look back and I'm grateful that she has forgiven me
Yeah.
and that I can show up for her in a more meaningful way today than maybe I did in our 20s. But she did break up with me.
Well, I think it's so powerful because your perspective of really looking at that and seeing, I mean, the fact that she showed up for Taylor's funeral is huge. I'm sure I have been broken up with. I just don't know why.
Right.
Like I don't know, and I haven't had maybe the perspective to go, what did I do wrong? I mean, I know I have pulled away from people based on they're going down a different path that I go, oh, I don't feel really good about, and I am more of a subtle pull away person. And now I don't feel like I'm having to pull away from anybody. If people do not want to be around you, if they don't want to be around me, I would rather them not try to fake it, or
Right.
you know what I mean? The authentic self is what, if you want to be with somebody, you're gonna show up for them.
Right.
If you value them, if you value the relationship, you will show up for them. And I think when you go through loss, I mean,
It changes you from the inside.
yeah,
And there's no questioning it, and you can't get out of it. So,
yeah,
I do believe that that taught me so many things, but I would say that today in our 50s, and I think so many women are exploring this, and maybe if they're more mature mentally than I was in my 30s and 40s, they're already doing it. You want to surround yourself with people that want to be around you. You
yeah,
want to surround yourself with people that help you be your better self,
for
that
sure.
challenge you mentally and physically in all the ways that make you a better person. And so today, no, I don't have the bandwidth to not have that circle with me. And so
Yeah.
I'm very selective, and I have so much time to spread. And when it comes to my friends, that core group, those are the people that I am really making sure that I'm investing my
Yeah.
time with. And if they don't fit in that group, I've always shared with my daughters, you don't need to eliminate them completely.
No.
You don't
No,
need to
no,
eliminate
no.
your friends. You recognize where they are
Mhm.
in the pyramid of your friendship circle.
Yeah.
And you have friends that you visit occasionally. You have the ones that you are able to tell your deepest, darkest secrets to. You have the ones that you party with. Like
Yeah.
you embrace all of those levels of friendships and
Yeah.
keep them all around. You don't need to eliminate, but unless it's somebody that is very toxic, that makes you feel small
Mhm.
in whatever way, no, we don't need to have that in our lives.
No. And don't you love, like, I love this too. Have you ever changed who you are to be around somebody? Or do you notice that you kind of just tweak something a little bit more being around a certain personality? I think I have to a degree. Like, I feel like I'm always pretty much who I am. But there are certain people I will be a little more brave with or a little more wild with.
Yes.
Like, you'll have those friends that you get a little more, brave, crazy, whatever. And then there's some that I'm a little more conservative around, maybe.
Yes.
Trying to be respectful of where they are and who they are. But I always try to be authentically who I am. But I just
I would
wonder
agree.
if you...
I would say, I have our friendship group and Leanne and Kim, and hopefully I'm not leaving anybody out, but I can go Christy all in. They get every version of Christy. Christy, J. Marie, Venetia. All of them. Nobody wants Venetia.
But met Venetia.
No, you haven't. But everybody seems to love Jane. She is so apparently a lot more fun than Christy.
She's a lot of fun.
But I'm a very different person. You're right. I'm not going to go and have a few glasses of wine with probably my coworker friends to a level that I would with our group.
Yeah.
And you guys do get to see, and you have seen so many versions of me.
That is what is so great, like the laughter and you go through so much life together. And isn't that so beautiful? The topic was about, have you had breakups, and if you had to pull away? Yes, I think we both have.
And have you been broken up with?
And have you been broken up with? Yeah, Christy acknowledges it. I'm sure I have. I just don't know. But I love that. And I think that, what do we do next? So if you have been broken up with, or you want to break up with somebody, how do you handle that? And
you'd like to think that it's as simple as, because we're adults, we can have a conversation. But that's not always the case. You need to determine how you want to be as a friend and what you want your friendships to look like. Let me give you an example. We all know how much I say no to things, or I change my mind.
Yes.
Or I commit to something, but then I don't. I can't.
Jane commits to something, and then Christy says no.
There is not anyone in our friendship group that would ever, at least I don't think, I'm pretty confident to say, be mad at me for that.
No.
We would never make one of our friends feel bad because they didn't come to something.
Yeah.
Or if we didn't get invited to something that the other friends did. That's not even a thought in my head.
Yeah.
I know that those exist.
Yeah.
And that there's expectations. I think at our age, that's exhausting.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we just be open and love whatever happens within that circle that is hopefully not toxic. But I don't have that, and I'm watching my daughters experience that with some of their friends and the expectations that are had, and if they have to cancel or they don't make it to something. And I think about you, and I think about all of our friends, and would never be mad at me for something like that.
No.
And so anyway, my point is really understanding what you need that friendship circle to look like.
Yeah. And I think knowing when you're younger, because when you're younger, adolescent, and then into your early 20s, there's so much more pressure around friendships and a lot more emotion where you can get your feelings hurt really easy. I love how do you show up as a friend? Because a lot of times there's so much of an expectation on what are they doing for me? What am I getting out of the friendship? I've never felt that way, really. But I think there's more of that. But it's really, how are we showing up as a friend? And I, more than ever, as I've gotten older, want to be more intentional about that, of really showing up for people. And I think I can always do a better job. There's so many times I'm like, why did I not think of that? Or why didn't I make a phone call? And so that was one of my goals for this year, is trying to be more intentional when I, see things. But God, I'm so imperfect. But I'm so grateful where we are. You think about,
well, we may not see each other for a few weeks, but we don't guilt each other about it. We just are grateful and excited that we do get the times that we do get together.
Yeah. So I would ask our listeners, one, I hope you guys are following us on, we are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We do have a YouTube channel, but we would love to hear your feedback on this topic of, have you had a bad breakup with a friend? And how did you handle it?
And we're hoping that you are celebrating all your friends, and that you are appreciating the value and the importance that it is to have your tribe.
Yeah.
And making time for that.
It's a gift. Friendship is a gift. You're listening to us and supporting our podcast is a gift, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.